This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. Thanks for checking in. For the first time ever, the U.S. Surgeon General has issued a warning about screen time and children. Officials are pleading with parents, get your kids offline and get them outside.
We want children to spend less time scrolling and more time living.
That's Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr.
Excessive screen use now ranks among the most urgent public health challenges facing American children.
The average child in this country spends up to 5 hours a day on screens. For teenagers, it's even worse. They spend nearly 9 hours every day staring at a screen. Experts warn by the year 2050, 40% of kids in this country will be myopic or nearsighted due to excessive screen use. Record travel expected for the upcoming Memorial Day holiday, despite gas prices averaging $4.56 a gallon nationwide. It's even more than that in New York and Pennsylvania. Correspondent Emily Aketa.
Gas prices up more than 40% from a year ago, according to AAA. And it's not just the pain at the pump that's putting a damper on this holiday weekend. The wet and cold weather is also getting the travel rush off to a bit of a bumpy start.
Saturday looks to be the worst of the weekend days for us. We'll see gradual improvements thereafter. Nearly 50 million of us will be hitting the highways for the unofficial start to the summer travel season. By the way, gas prices are now averaging above $4 a gallon in all 50 states. New warnings from Iran today about the response they may unleash if military attacks start up again. The regime says if the 6-week ceasefire ends, the war will spread beyond Iran. Reporter Aisha Hasni has more.
The president says that the U.S. military is ready to go if he gets the wrong answer from Iran, telling reporters that a strike could happen very quickly.
The commander-in-chief adds he's in no hurry to make a deal with Iran.
Ideally, I'd like to see few people killed as opposed to a lot. Well, we can do it either way, but I'd like to see few people killed.
A new Fox News poll today shows 65% of Americans think the U.S. is winning the war, but 6 in 10 do not support the military action in Iran. Former Cuban dictator Raul Castro indicted yesterday on 7 charges, including murder, for allegedly ordering the shoot-down of American airplanes in 1996. Those incidents led to the deaths of 4 Cuban Americans on humanitarian missions.
Today is the beginning of the end for the Castro family. And just like this poster says it, they belong to that group of gangsters. The Ayatollahs, Maduro.
Florida Congresswoman Maria Salazar applauds the Trump administration for taking decisive action against the Castro crime syndicate.
Pay attention and look what happened to Maduro. It's time for you guys to go, because there is a new sheriff in town.
Attorney General Todd Blanche says the 94-year-old Castro will be brought to justice one way or another.
The reason why we indict somebody is because we want them here to face justice. So we expect that he will show up here by his own will or by another way.
Castro resigned the presidency in Cuba in 2018, though he remains a powerful political figure on the communist island. Fires across Southern California have consumed more than 20,000 acres now. 17,000 Californians remain under evacuation orders. The wind-driven Sandy Fire erupted Monday in the hills above Simi Valley, some 30 miles northwest of Los Angeles. The home ownership gap in this country between baby boomers and millennials has never been wider. Listen to this from Michael Wallace.
73.1% of baby boomers own homes compared to 4.5% of millennials. Bankrate principal analyst Ted Rossman says millennials have it tough.
Higher education costs, childcare costs, they're really facing higher costs throughout their financial lives.
Rossman says more young people are teaming up with family or even friends to buy homes.
That's Michael Wallace reporting. Still to come on the Noon Report, the remains of Revolutionary War soldiers, Sunday challenges, abortion ruling, and Glassfest returns to the Crystal City.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. Looks like cool will rule in the days ahead. Forecast details are up in 10.
Okie doke, Kevin. Thank you very much. Have car, will travel. Family Life's Dee Haley has more on the busy upcoming holiday weekend.
AAA is expecting record travel for the Memorial Day weekend, with nearly 50 million Americans expected to travel by car and millions more taking to the skies. As the busy holiday travel period begins, officials are also warning drivers about increased roadway dangers, particularly for teen drivers. Officials are urging parents to talk with their children about safe driving habits, especially the dangers of distracted driving, as young drivers spend more time on the road during the summer months. Dee Haley, Family Life News.
Thank you, Dee. Unfortunately, the Memorial Day weekend also starts the 100 deadliest days of driving in America. That's the time between Memorial Day and Labor Day, when police see the most automobile accidents, especially those involving teenage drivers. New York State Police spokesman James O'Callahan says DWI, speeding, and distraction are the three main reasons why young motorists get into accidents.
I can stand here all day and tell you how dangerous it is to do any one of those three things or combine one of those three things, and you're more likely to get into a collision. Our teens, I know, grew up with a phone in their hand. The problem is they have to separate that lifestyle with being behind the wheel. It is imperative.
Trooper O'Callahan says teenage drivers have a fatal crash rate of nearly 3 times that of other drivers. The TSA, meantime, says it is fully staffed and ready to screen over 18 million passengers between today and next Wednesday as the unofficial kickoff to the summer travel season begins. Government dysfunction continues in Albany as the latest state budget in 16 years remains in limbo. New York lawmakers have passed a 14th emergency extender. The state budget today officially 50 days past the due date. That's not acceptable to State Senator Tom O'Mara, who's upset over the lack of transparency.
It's very unfortunate that this is what this process has devolved to, with no information being shared on where things stand. And certainly no information being shared to the citizens of New York State.
This latest budget extender will fund payrolls through next Tuesday. The final price tag on the budget expected to be anywhere from $262 to $270 billion. Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday is challenging a Commonwealth Court ruling last month that forced taxpayers to foot the bill for abortions in the Keystone State. AG Sunday says the justices got it wrong, and there's no fundamental right to reproductive autonomy in the state constitution. It'll now be up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to decide if Medicaid dollars should fund abortions in Pennsylvania. It's back to the drawing board for 9 local school districts in New York that failed to pass their spending plans back on Tuesday. Dave Albert with the New York State School Boards Association tells us what's next for those districts.
One option is they can go out for a revote in June. There is a statewide revote day, and they can put the same budget up, or they can make modifications, or they can go to a contingency budget.
Spencerport, Grand Island, Rome, Odessa, Montour, Lindenville, Randolph, Cuba, Rushford, West Valley, and Prattsburg all failed to pass their budgets Tuesday. Statewide, about 96% of districts said yes to their school budgets. The world-famous dry pasta company, Barilla, is expanding operations in Avon, New York. That company is investing $170 million into a 2-phase expansion. Barilla's been making dry pasta in Livingston County for nearly 20 years. This new project's expected to create up to 90 new jobs there in Avon. Some disturbing allegations today surrounding a central New York daycare facility. Family Life's Mark Webster.
Yeah, SUNY Cortland police have arrested the executive director and 3 employees of the on-campus child care center in connection with an investigation into child endangerment. Executive Director Karen Deitcher and the other 3 face varying counts of child endangerment. One employee is also charged with criminal solicitation. However, SUNY Cortland police did not release anything about the nature of what led to those arrests, saying the situation remains under investigation. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you, Mark. New York Governor Kathy Hochul says progress is being made toward toward reducing gun violence in the Empire State. She says the cities of Ithaca, Auburn, and Utica had no firearm-related homicides during the first 4 months of the year, not one. Statewide, shooting incidents resulting in injury are down 17% from last year. A central Pennsylvania school board is defending its decision to expel a high school senior just weeks before graduation. More on that from Family Life's Brian Query.
The Bellefonte Area School District released a public statement Wednesday after backlash over the expulsion of a senior student just days before graduation. The student was on a field trip to the local courthouse and told a deputy he forgot he had a small knife in his pocket. In a notification sent to parents and guardians, the district said the knife was never used to harm or threaten anyone and did not present an active threat. More than 4,000 people have signed an online petition supporting the student. A statement released Wednesday by the school board president says the community is, quote, seeing an incomplete picture. School officials say state law, district policy, behavioral history, and recommendations from a hearing examiner all factored into the unanimous vote. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. A York County man accused of threatening to throw a Pennsylvania state representative into a wood chipper. 66-year-old Clinton Dixon apparently upset with Philadelphia Democrat Tarek Khan's vote on pro-LGBTQ legislation. Police say Dixon left the threat in the form of a voicemail at Khan's district office. Earlier this month, a Lebanon County man was charged with making terroristic threats by creating a hit list of 20 Democrats, most of them from the Philly area. A solemn motorcade carried the remains of 44 Revolutionary War soldiers to their final resting place yesterday in Lake George, New York. Those remains were discovered in 2019 at a construction site in the village of Lake George. Lisa Anderson is an archaeologist and curator at the New York State Museum.
We're talking about literally thousands of pieces of bone. We spent 15 months sifting this giant pile of soil, and everybody felt like it was the right thing to do to give these soldiers the respect and dignity that they deserved after their graves had been disturbed.
She tells Spectrum News the soldiers likely died of smallpox at a makeshift hospital near the south end of Lake George. Carl Remmers, president of the Patriot Guard Riders, which helped escort the soldiers' remains from Albany to Lake George yesterday.
It is an extremely high honor to transport the remains of 44 Revolutionary War soldiers. And these are our first true American heroes.
The 60-mile procession included vintage Korean and Vietnam-era military vehicles escorted by the New York State Police and those Patriot Guard riders. Jim Marshall is a captain for the Patriot Guard.
Our normal mission is to ensure that our veterans have the proper burial and respect that they deserve and earn. It gives us the opportunity to show they've not been forgotten.
This is about those veterans, the 44 Revolutionary veterans who sacrificed their lives to form our nation.
The Revolutionary War soldiers were interred at the Repose of the Fallen Memorial in Lake George Battlefield State Park. U.S. Senator Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania has launched a youth essay contest in celebration of America's 250th birthday. It's for students in grades 9 through 12 and focuses on Pennsylvania's central role in the American story. Winners will have their essays entered into the congressional record and be invited to meet with Senator McCormick in Washington. You can learn more about the essay contest by visiting Senator McCormick's website. It's a fan favorite in the Crystal City, talking about Glass Fest. It returns tomorrow, will run through Sunday in Corning, New York. More than 130 street vendors will be showcasing their goods on Market Street. Catherine Price is executive director of the Gaffer District.
There's something for everyone. There really is. It's about arts and innovation and community. We have CMOG here, and you can see glass being blown on the streets, as well as hear national bands and local music. And yeah, there's so many things for something for everyone, and kids' activities.
Glass Fest will culminate with a fireworks display Sunday night at Riverfront Centennial Park there in Corning. Buffalo Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff's been rewarded for getting his team into the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. He's just been offered a 2-year extension on his contract.
Really excited with the opportunity to carry on here and help lead this team to a championship.
and I'm humbled again by the opportunity.
Buffalo's postseason run came to an end Monday night when they lost to the Montreal Canadiens in overtime in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. We've got more sports next. It's the 2-Minute Drill on Family Life.
The words of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Every team has their identity, and when they impose their identity more than the other team does, they usually win. Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. The Thunder, they identified last night as they did the imposing and even their series with the Spurs, 122-113. Alexander scored 30 points, handed out 9 assists, and had only 1 turnover. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City converted 21 San Antonio turnovers into 27 points. Victor Wembanyama, who was so dominant in Game 1, held to just 21 points in the loss. On the ice, it was Vegas winning Game 1 on the road against the Avalanche. The Golden Knights rolled out to a 3-0 lead into the third period before Colorado scored twice to make it a game. But then Vegas scored on an empty netter to seal the 4-2 victory. On to baseball. The Blue Jays edged the Yankees in the Bronx. Trey Savage was stellar on the hill for Toronto. 6 scoreless innings, struck out 8. The Yanks got a run in the 9th, but no more. 2-1 was the final. C.J. Abrams belted a 3-run blast in the first inning. The Nationals never looked back, knocking off the Mets 8-4. Juan Soto, 2 long balls for the Amazons. The Pirates snapped a 4-game losing streak, shutting out St. Louis 7-0. Spencer Horwitz went deep for Pittsburgh in the victory. And the Phillies lost their first series since Donnie Baseball took over as their manager. They fell to Cincinnati 9-4. Alex Baum and Edmundo Sosa both went yard for Philadelphia. That is a look at sports.
All right, thank you, Randy. Still to come on the Noon Report. Gas pains worsen, Surgeon General warning, and traffic jam at the top of the world.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. In Paris, there are 2 historic structures that offer explanations of the human condition. The L'Arche de la Défense is France's official memorial to the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of the Rights of Man. It's an immense, striking, open cube of nearly perfect dimensions. Down the river a bit is the Cathedral of Notre Dame. Its 2 towers are of different heights. There are various gargoyles adorning the exterior. The stones differ in size, and the stained glass is of different colors and shapes. As George Weigel has noted in his book, The Cube and the Cathedral, the 2 buildings carry significant worldview implications. The cube represents rationality as a means of perfection, while the cathedral reflects the fragmented beauty of the diverse human experience and God's creativity in all that He has made. Artificial intelligence, especially its potential for education, tempts us to stand in awe of its seeming rational superiority. Like the L'Arche de la Défense, it is impressive, especially in comparison to our limitations. To be merely awestruck, however, by artificial intelligence would be a tragic mistake. Consider, for example, Unbound Charter Academy, Arizona's first all-online AI-powered charter school, which guarantees that students will score in the top 10% of standardized tests. At Unbound, there are no good or bad teachers. There are only 2 AI chatbots, Philip and Phoebe, that are available 24/7 and with a world of information at their non-existent fingertips. How appealing that is, especially when compared to Mrs. Smith, the local school teacher who's married with 4 children, unavailable after 4 p.m. and on weekends, and who has the unfortunate limitations of being merely human. An Unbound Charter is just one variation of new AI schools popping up that are disrupting traditional models. The rapid adoption of AI in education is unsurprising, of course, especially given the shortage of quality teachers and the highly political emphasis in schools of education over and above subject matter expertise and actual mentoring skills. Moreover, the overall drive for efficiency in our culture makes AI quite desirable to both teachers and students. With AI, there's no lesson planning, no teachers' meetings, no study sessions or all-nighters. With AI, there are just instant responses to our most complex questions. Within a Christian worldview, however, there is, to borrow a phrase from the Apostle Paul, a more excellent way. A more excellent way to approach AI in education and anywhere else. AI is an incredible tool for humans, but it can never be a replacement. This is a difference we must keep in mind, and it's a difference not in degree, but in kind. Simply put, humans are exceptional. AI is not. The biblical framework of creation and fall can provide the helpful and necessary context we need for this framing. Humans were created at the pinnacle of the creation story as the only beings in God's image and the only creatures given authority over the rest of the created order. AI is a derivative of human creativity and thus below humans in the hierarchy of what exists. If we are to properly understand and manage the AI revolution, we have to orient our lives as if humans are indeed exceptional, because, well, they are. Look, we face a choice. The seeming omniscience of AI or the exceptionalism of limited humanity. Our answer will determine not only the trajectory of education, but very likely the future of humanity. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
Thank you, John. Outside we go. It's weather where you live with weatherman Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life forecast for this afternoon. A good deal of sunshine in western and central New York. Any showers in eastern Pennsylvania moving south and away. High temperatures from the 50s near Lake Ontario into the upper 60s along the I-80 corridor in Pennsylvania. For tonight, partly cloudy, chilly. Low temps, mid-30s to mid-40s. Tomorrow, some sun, high temps into the 60s. Looks like a rainy start to the weekend. Breezy, chilly as well on Saturday with temperatures mainly in the 40s and 50s. Milder for Sunday and Monday.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price. Lots to get to Thursday, the 21st of May. For the first time ever, the U.S. Surgeon General has issued a warning about screen time for children. Experts say excessive screen time is now a public health concern due to the alarming effect it has on kids. Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr.
Children are spending more time on screens than sleeping, exercising, reading, interacting face-to-face with family and friends.
The average child in this country between the ages of 2 and 12 will spend 5 hours a day on a screen. For teenagers, it's even worse, 9 hours a day. The former dictator of communist Cuba has been indicted by the U.S. Justice Department. Here's Fox News' David Spunt.
Raul Castro, the 94-year-old former Cuban president and brother of the late Fidel Castro, the man who led the Cuban Revolution, is now facing 7 criminal charges, including murder.
Castro's accused of ordering the shoot down of American airplanes in the 1990s.
For the Cuban-American community, I mean, this is a moment that they've waited for 3 decades. I mean, they've waited even longer for some sort of regime change in Cuba, which is what they're all hoping for, that something such as this will eventually lead to.
Correspondent Christian Benavides. Fears over Ebola forced an Air France plane to divert to Canada yesterday after officials learned a passenger may have been exposed to the disease in Africa. Here's CBS's Jared Hill.
This person was from the Democratic Republic of Congo and was on this diverted flight going from Paris to Detroit. The plane ended up landing in Montreal. The person was taken off the back of the plane, and then it went back onto its original destination, which was Detroit.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Celine Gounder.
You cannot catch it from sitting near someone on a plane. If this person was not symptomatic, the risk to other passengers was essentially zero.
The World Health Organization's declared a public health emergency in Congo and Uganda due to the Ebola outbreak there. Pumped up gas prices are going even higher just in time for the busy summer travel season.
The Summer Travel Survey from GasBuddy predicts an average price of $4.80 per gallon from Memorial Day through Labor Day. The fuel pricing app says the price of gas could reach all-time highs if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed for much of the summer. Despite the cost, the survey shows 56% of Americans still plan to drive at least 2 hours this summer to reach their destination. That's down from 69% last summer. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Thank you, Rory. You're listening to the Noon Report for Thursday on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the front line of religious battlegrounds. I'm your host, Sarah Harnish. With me today, voice of the Martyrs Vice President, Todd Nettleton. We're talking Christianity in India. The level of danger for Christians in India is currently listed as extreme by international monitoring groups. In fact, the country was labeled the 12th most dangerous place for Christians in 2026, as evidenced by a brand new law in places like Chhattisgarh State. Todd, tell me more.
I feel like since we're audio only, it's hard to do the air quotes around religious freedom law. Really what this is an anti-conversion law. It is an anti-religious freedom law, and they already had one on the books in Chhattisgarh, but they have updated it because they didn't feel like it was harsh enough. And this law was signed into effect by the governor last month. This is 12 out of 28 states in India that now have anti-conversion laws on the books. A couple of the changes, the way they tighten down religious freedom, a violation of this anti-conversion law is now, according to the law, it is a no bail offense. So if you get charged with breaking this law, you are in jail until there is a verdict in your case. There is no opportunity for bail. There's no opportunity to not be in prison during the court process. So even if there's no evidence and eventually the judge finds you innocent, which we would say that's great, you've still been in jail at least a year probably at that point. But by the time it goes through the trial process and you get an actual verdict of innocence, at least a year you've been in jail because the law says bail is not even an option. The other significant change, a regular violation of this law could result in 7 to 10 years in prison, but a mass conversion event carries a penalty of life in prison. Well, what is a mass conversion event? According to this law, that is 2 or more people changing their faith. So a pastor goes to a home, sits down with a husband and wife, presents the gospel. The husband and wife say, yes, we want to follow Jesus. According to this law, that is a mass conversion event, and that pastor is in line for life in prison for violating, and again, they call it the Freedom of Religion Act. So much of this is just mind-blowing. Reconversion to your, what they call your ancestral religion is okay. So if Hindu radicals come in and force someone who renounced Hinduism and became a follower of Christ, if they beat that person and convince them come back to Hinduism, that is okay. Reconversion is fine. It's converting Hindus out of Hinduism that is really what the law is targeting. And this is not uncommon. 12 of 28 Indian states have these laws on the books.
So it's not a religious freedom law, it's a Hindu freedom law.
It is a Hindu protection law, really. It is motivated by that Hindu nationalist ideology. That's the ideology of the national government, and it is the ideology that controls many of the state governments. And they say India is a Hindu country, and really it's only Hindus that belong here. And so if you're coming along and encouraging people to follow a different faith, you're a troublemaker, you're a traitor, you're an outsider, you really don't belong in, and certainly the law doesn't protect you.
What are the chances that laws like this could be lifted? Are you seeing anything positive in other parts of India?
There is a challenge to the anti-conversion laws that is in the process of going through the Supreme Court right now. In fact, one of the states was sued. The court said, hey, multiple states have these laws, so let's try to decide it all at the same time. There was a push late last year for a stay against the laws to say, hey, let's put off enforcing these laws until the Supreme Court decides whether they're constitutional or not. They so far have not enacted that. They haven't taken that step. They've said, hey, we're reviewing this, and they've invited the states to file different briefs and different information. The Indian Constitution is pretty clear. This is a country that has religious freedom. That's what the Constitution promises. It is hard to imagine a fair consideration of the facts that would look at a law that says it's illegal to change your religion and a Constitution that says we have religious freedom and say, oh yeah, those two things can coexist. So it seems like, and again, I'm an outsider and I'm not a Hindu nationalist, but it seems like a pretty clear case of, hey, these laws violate the Indian Constitution. But so far, the court hasn't ruled that. But that process is in place right now. It is moving forward slowly. And I think the judges understand if they do rule against these anti-conversion laws, they will face a great deal of backlash from the government and from Hindu nationalists in India. So it's something that's going to take a lot of courage for them to actually come in and say, hey, this is unconstitutional. Our Constitution says we have religious freedom.
What work is Voice of the Martyrs doing in India? How can you do work in a country like that?
Well, one of the things we are doing is coming alongside the families of pastors who have been imprisoned. And there are dozens of Indian pastors right now in jail under these different anti-conversion laws. And so coming alongside their families, coming alongside their churches, encouraging them. We are also working with Christian attorneys that are working to have the Supreme Court say, hey, these are unconstitutional. So helping on the legal side, as well as general spiritual encouragement, providing people with Bibles, helping frontline workers, pastors, and evangelists to have tools and training and encouragement that they need to continue sharing the gospel, and sending the message to Indian Christians. You're not alone in this. You're part of the global body of Christ. We're aware of what's happening. We want to stand with you. We're praying for you. That voice of encouragement is something that our workers in India carry with them literally everywhere they go in that country.
Learn more at persecution.com.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Always good to hear from Todd Nettleton at Voice of the Martyrs, doing such a great work. Faith Under Fire, the name of the program. It airs Thursdays during the Noon Report. You can also catch it online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or FamilyLife.org. And finally, at noon for a Thursday, from the highest point on planet Earth, officials in Nepal say more than 270 people climbed Mount Everest on a single day yesterday. The world's tallest peak soars more than 29,000 feet between Nepal and China and attracts mountain climbers from all over the world. This time of year, the most hikers to scale Everest in a single day had been 223. That was set back in 2019. The head of Nepal's Expedition Operators Association says that record was broken Wednesday when 274 people climbed to the top of the world. Nepal's Department of Tourism, however, puts the number at around 250 and says they're waiting for climbers to return and provide evidence of their claim before they will confirm that new world record. And that's our world, the world we live in. Thursday, May 21st. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.